couple were planning their child's funeral. Then she opened her eyes and said these 7 words. But before we start, please give the video a like and make sure to subscribe to Wonderbot and hit the bell so you'll never miss any uploads from us. After fighting cancer since the age of 4, it seemed that Abby Furco was finally losing her battle. For doctors had given the youngster now 10 just 2 days to live. So her family gathered around her bedside in 2016 to say their goodbyes. But just as it seemed that Abby's time was running out, she opened her eyes. And furthermore, she said something that took her parents' breath away. Now Abby lives in Virginia Beach, Virginia, with her mom Patty, dad Joe, older sister Maggie, and little sister Emily. And at age 10, Abby appeared to be much like any other child her age, for she enjoyed summer camp, reading, and baking for her loved ones. Meanwhile, some of her dislikes include math, her least enjoyable school subject. But frankly, numbers were the least of Abby's concerns. That's because the youngster had been diagnosed with cancer in 2011 at the tender age of 4. Indeed, she had a rare form of the disease known as Philadelphia chromosome positive acute lymphoblastic leukemia. And unlike many forms of cancer, the strain cannot be treated with your typical chemotherapy drugs. With that in mind, Abby's prognosis didn't look good. For, you see, she was given a 20% chance of survival by her doctors, much to her family's anguish. And Mom Patty recalled the moment her life fell apart in a YouTube video for the St. Baldrick's Foundation. In her emotional testimony, Patty struggled to rein in her tears. That's right, she said, "The day Abby was diagnosed will be in my mind forever." Dr. Wessler introduced himself as a hematologist-oncologist, and his first words were, "Your daughter Abigail has leukemia." And after that, I heard nothing else of what he said. What's more, Patty also opened up about Abby's diagnosis in a 2017 interview with People. As the mom went on to explain, "We were devastated. We were basically told that she was going to die. There was very little hope." Meanwhile, Dad Joe told the St. Baldrick's Foundation, "We didn't know what to expect. It's not something that anybody could ever prepare for." On that note, family life was about to change dramatically for the Furcos. For you see, Abby would now spend most of her time in hospital. As she turned from 4 to 5 to 6, her life became a whirlwind of pills, needles, and chemo. Also, Abby had a bone marrow transplant and took part in a drug trial, always with her family at her side. As Patty told People, "We kept her surrounded by love because we knew at any moment we could lose her. There were moments we didn't know if she'd pull through, so she had many infections that could have ended her life. All we had to do was watch her fight and try to get better." Recalling this challenging time in her life, Abby would later tell WAVY-TV 10, "There were lots of new and scary things to me, and I was only 4 years old, so I didn't understand most of it. I was still kind of new to even going and just get like your normal kid checkups. It was super scary." But thankfully, Abby got better around October 2013. Yep, she responded well to her first 2 years or so of treatment. Consequently, she was able to return to normal life. So for one special year, Abby attended school, spent time with her friends, and went to soccer practice without treatment. What's more, the youngster signed up for the Girl Scouts, just like other kids her age. However, the return to normalcy was short-lived. Indeed, sadly, Abby's leukemia returned in September 2014. As a result, her family were facing the prospect of losing their little one once more. And having Abby diagnosed with cancer for a second time felt like a particularly cruel blow to the Furcos. Moreover, the youngster would also appear to suffer a lot more on this occasion. As Patty went on to explain to People, "As hard as that first diagnosis was, this one tested every ounce of our being." Revealing how the return of her cancer affected Abby, Patty said, "She became completely immobile. Any movement hurt her and she hardly spoke." To add to that, an operation was on the horizon. In order to treat her leukemia, it was decided that Abby needed a second bone marrow transplant. So she underwent the procedure at Lurie Children's Hospital in Chicago, before transferring to the Duke Children's Hospital in North Carolina. But that's when things took a devastating turn for the worse. Following her transplant, Abby received a number of serious complications. In February 2015, she contracted graft versus host disease. The condition occurs when white blood cells within the donated bone marrow start to attack the transplant patient's normal cells. Terrifyingly, its symptoms include skin rashes, diarrhea, and liver damage. And Abby's worries didn't end there. In May 2016, her kidneys began to fail because of the aggressive treatment she'd undergone to fight her cancer. So she was consequently hospitalized once more. But on this occasion, doctors broke the devastating news that there was nothing more they could do for her. Heartbreak appeared to be just around the corner. So Abby entered intensive care, needing dialysis around the clock. And her doctors warned Patty and Joe that she would only survive for 48 hours if taken off the machine. With that, it seemed that Abby's life was drawing to a close. And so her parents began planning for her death. As Patty explained to people, doctors told us it was time to let her go. She was only awake for like an hour each day. We began preparing our other daughters for her death. And so Patty and Joe made what must have been an agonizing decision to remove Abby from intensive care and bring her home. In the comfort of her own home in Virginia, Abby could live out her final days with friends and family. In fact, her grandparents took a flight so they could say one final farewell to their grandchild. Furthermore, Patty and Joe began thinking ahead to Abby's funeral, choosing songs, flowers, and even a casket. However, Abby was determined to cling to life with every fiber of her being. As Dad Joe told WTKR, "While we had dozens of people in the house, Abby found a moment of quiet one time, individually to both Mom and me, and said a very soft voice, 'I know I'm supposed to die. I don't think I'm going to yet.'" This period was especially difficult for Abby's sisters, Maggie and Emily, who were still too young to understand what was happening. In 2016, Patty told the Virginian pilot, "We just talked to the girls and told them that we would always be together, or at least our souls would be." But it was then that Abby did something that would surprise everyone. She woke up. And not only that, she started to get better. A delighted Patty told people, "We couldn't believe it. In a matter of days, weeks, months, she started walking and getting stronger." But that's not all. By getting better, Abby had defied the odds. As a result, Patty told people that her recovery was an absolute miracle. Speaking to the Virginia pilot, the mom added, "The doctors have no idea what happened. One of them told me that in over 25 years, he'd never seen anything like it." Meanwhile, Abby's dad told WTKR, "Medically speaking, Abby should not be with us anymore." Abby thumbed her nose at the medical profession in this respect and said, "Thank you for your opinion. I'll see you guys in a couple months, or a couple years," and has been continuing on. With that in mind, even Abby's doctor, Jacob Wessler, was shocked by the youngster's recovery, for it had been his team that told the Furcos to expect the worst. He explained to people, "She was very, very sick, and her body was shutting down slowly, and her organs weren't working correctly anymore, and every intervention was just making her worse." As Dr. Wessler continued, "We told Patty and Joe there was nothing else we could do. The only foreseeable outcome was that Abby was going to die. We helped her get home for hospice care, but when we started backing off, taking away treatments, so she wasn't on so many meds, she started getting better all on her own." And while Abby's recovery had proven all the medical experts wrong, Dr. Wessler was happy to eat his words on this occasion. He said of his patient, "She's had ups and downs, but if she continues on this path, she's going to make us all look like fools. She's defied every single odd." While Wessler couldn't explain Abby's recovery in scientific terms, he speculated that the youngster's lust for life may have helped. Indeed, her will to keep going was evident in what she told her parents after coming round. In fact, she had even uttered 7 little words to them on her deathbed, which summed up her resilience. And Patty revealed those exact words. The proud mom told people, she told us, "I have so much living to do." With that in mind, the family subsequently decided to take life by the horns. Patty said, "We've stopped asking why she's made this discovery and just started looking to her future." Now, shortly after Abby's recovery, she got to attend summer camp, just like other kids her age. And she went to Camp Fantastic in Front Royal, Virginia, which hosts 100 children a year who have been touched by cancer. At the camp, they enjoy a full week of fun, partaking in a range of activities. Recalling her time at Camp Fantastic, Abby told the Virginia pilot, "I had lots of fun classes. And some of the notable activities she took part in included dancing and crafting a stuffed toy carrier with duct tape. So, needless to say, Abby was feeling a lot better after coming so close to a tragic end. But what's more, when the youngster got home from summer camp, she prepared to return to school. Now she was homeschooled initially, but had the help of a tutor from Red Mill Elementary School in Virginia Beach. And despite all the disruption she'd encountered, she'd somehow managed to keep up and could begin 5th grade on time. In the meantime, Abby also had a course of physical therapy in order to regain her strength following the ordeal. As part of this, the youngster had to practice how to walk and climb stairs. Explaining the exercises to the Virginia pilot, Abby said, "I'm trying to get stronger after being in bed so long." For Patty, it was important that her daughter eased her way back into regular life, given everything she'd been through. So for her, it was the little things that mattered, as she went on to explain to the Virginia pilot. "With school starting, we're setting into a routine. We're just taking it one day at a time." However, when Abby was well enough, her family decided it was time to start living life to the full. And they began with a bucket list trip to Italy. Interestingly, the youngster had fallen in love with the country when she did a project about it in 2nd grade. So when the brave girl was at death's door, she was devastated that she'd never get to see Italy in person. All things being better now, Abby's family whisked her off on a whistle-stop tour of Italy. Indeed, she traveled the length and breadth of the country, stopping at a number of cities including Naples, Venice, and Rome. While in Florence, the wannabe chef took 2 cooking lessons, learning how to make Italian classics like tiramisu and pizza. Then, 1 year after Abby's family were told she was dying, the inspirational little girl completed 5th grade. And in an even more positive development, she was also in remission, relying on steroids twice a day. But with that said, Abby's prognosis was not clear, and so her future was still uncertain. Nevertheless, even through her ups and downs, Abby's family were all too aware of how precious every moment with her was. But for the time being, the youngster just wants to focus on living. As Patty told People, she just wants to be a normal kid and hang out with friends and go to school. Her zest for life is just amazing. Given all that she's been through at a tender age, Abby was made an ambassador at the St. Baldrick's Foundation. But her life is about much more than her illness. For starters, in May 2019, she appeared on stage in the school musical Annie Jr., and she dreams of one day opening her own restaurant where she would be the chef. Revealing what gets her through her challenges, Abby told WAVY-TV, "You have to have that perseverance and positive mindset to know that you just have to do it one day at a time, 1 hour at a time, 1 minute at a time, 1 second at a time. You've got to take it slowly and hope that you can make it to tomorrow." With this attitude, it seems like the sky's the limit for Abby, now that she's been given her future back. And as her family knows all too well, anything is possible when it comes to this determined little girl. After all, as her mom, Patty, put it to People, "We watched her die and come back to life. Now we're looking to the future." At the end, we want to know your opinion about the story in the comments box below. Wonderful people, can this video get 200 likes?